Welcome back to Ads on Air. I'm Lauren.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Kara.
And this is our special guest, Dr. Rysewyk. Okay, so this is the superintendent of Knox County Schools, which is kind of crazy. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, you've done a good job. So Dr. Jon Rysewyk, superintendent for Knox County Schools. It's a great job. We have a great school system, and love coming out and doing stuff like this to see all the wonderful things that you guys are doing. I'm becoming a fan of the show, so I'm glad that I got to be on it.
Yeah.
So thanks.
We love to hear it.
Yeah. So we're just going to try to break the ice. What would students be like most surprised to learn about you, or like most interesting thing you think?
Wow, I don't know. I'm not sure I'm very interesting, but yeah, what I do when I'm not here maybe would be good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I'm a CrossFitter. I like to CrossFit. My wife runs our CrossFit gym in Fountain City, and so I do that when I'm not here. I live on 17-acre little farm in far east Knoxville. Have 4 horses, 2 daughters. It's not a priority that they're more important than my daughters. 2 daughters, one's at UT and one's a senior this year at Central. So.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
We did a little bit of research before this,
Okay.
so yeah, we knew about the horses too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And you rescue them, right?
Yeah, so they're all draft horses, if you know what those are. So the larger kind of, think of like Clydesdales, the Budweiser ones, the one people think about.
Yeah.
So we have Belgians and Percherons, and yeah, they're kind of. My wife's always been great with animals, so it was a. Kind of ones at the end of their journey. We bring them and they kind of retire on our field and kind of just eat our grass and stay out there in the field. So it's great.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's amazing to have. So
It is.
Okay, so from my understanding, you won this award called the Milken Award. So can you talk a little bit about that and what it means to you?
Yeah, no, that was a neat. That was kind of earlier in my career. So I was a second year assistant principal, I think, at Fulton High School. And I didn't even know anything about that award, but so the way they do it is kind of all secretive. You don't know anything. There was kind of, we're having assembly at the school. Again, I was an assistant principal at Fulton, and you kind of get there, and we're like, well, no one knew what it was going to be about. And so the commissioner for the state was there, and a bunch of people. So we're all kind of like, what is this? And they do this whole, we're here to give an award, right? And still, I have no idea. It's me. Nobody. They're kind of purposely how the Milken folks do it. So it's great. So they're talking about the school and all those kinds of things, and then they pull out like there's this $25,000 award that comes with it too. And we're like, oh, this is awesome! Like, who's gonna get it? And so then then it was me. So I didn't expect that, but it's really neat. It's something that the Milken Foundation does in every state every year. They started in 1987, just recognizing educators who are in the middle of like innovative practice to try to encourage them to kind of move on. They kind of call it like the Oscars of education. So,
So
yeah,
you're famous.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, it's as famous as educators getting though. But it was huge for my wife and I at that time. $25,000 for a teacher or
insane.
assistant principal is a big deal. So, really kind of pushes you forward in that. We got to go. They have a big gala out in L.A. and we got to go to L.A. for a thing and. And had a bunch of celebrities there. We got to meet and things like that. So it's a really they do a great job just of recognizing teachers across the country and educators who do that. So yeah, that was a huge blessing for us. And it's a great organization. We've done part of what they do. They do have a training organization too, NIET, that does a lot of training. We've worked with them in Knox County too, but they do a lot of work across the country. So they're really just trying to promote. Innovative practices in education. So yeah, that was a pretty neat day.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I would say.
and you won. So what won you the award was something with the 865 Academies. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a similar concept. So back then, when I was at Fulton, I was the assistant principal, and we were looking at like graduation rates. Our grad rate had dropped really low, and it was my second year. And we were looking as a staff on how do we improve that. So it is kind of funny, very similar to 865 Academies. We kind of went to this academy structure. We called them schools, not academies, but it was just this whole concept of students were kind of falling through the cracks. It was a lot to navigate. You guys probably know that here at Farragut. You come in as a freshman, 1,000 to 2,000 students, and everything's in a different hallway and all this kind of. It's easy to get lost, right? And it's even easy for teachers, right? I mean, as much as they care about their class, but you might be here and then you don't see them again, or we're seeing them that one time a day. So what we realized is that we needed to get teams of teachers around kids in the same hallway, so they were seeing each other and sometimes kids can be sneaky. And then that way it's kind of everybody had tabs on all that, right? And really the challenge was, so we moved science teachers, social studies teachers, English, all in the same hallway. And so kids were kind of in that hallway, building relationships with those teachers. And then they knew their academic performance. They knew their kind of where they were social, emotionally, all those things, and we could interact a whole lot faster. We had a counselor on that hall. We had an assistant principal on that hall. And so that was a big part of the movement that we did there. And that was kind of before we moved to all this academy stuff. But we saw great results at Fulton. That staff worked really hard and raised our grad rate from 83.6% to 85% in 3 years. Had a lot more kids going on to college and post-secondary after that. So I think it's just, again, teachers care, but when they can work as a team, it makes a big difference for students.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, and then we know that you just came from the Farragut Primary School. So our next question is kind of just like, what is the importance to you of going out to schools and seeing what your work does in Knox County schools?
Yeah, that was great. I just spent the morning in a kindergarten classroom. We got 7:30. Was there from 7:30 to 11:30, so it was great. Yeah, I mean, that's just a practice I've done. Even when I was assistant superintendent, I would try to go to at least 5 classrooms a year. And it's just, I was a teacher, and I was an intern in Knox County. I was a teacher in Knox County, assistant principal, and then a principal. And, I think it's so easy as you get these opportunities to do other things that you can kind of forget what that feels like and looks like.
Right.
Plus, we make a lot of decisions, and, then we trickle those down to what happens at schools. And I like to just hang out with the people who are actually doing it and kind of ask them, I always get the plan period with the teacher, right? And I'm kind of like, all right, tell me the truth now. And the other teachers will start coming in the room and, is this a really good textbook adoption? Or what do you think about this new policy? Or and what's great is they tell me. And I think what's been good too is once I have that relationship, they'll people that I've been in now been doing it for about 7 years, they'll send me emails and kind of say, hey, you said it, reach out anytime, and they'll do that. So it's great. Overwhelmingly, folks are happy, but it's neat to see that. Just neat to see what they do at every grade level too. I was a secondary high school teacher. I wasn't an elementary teacher, so to go in and watch, just to watch them how they teach kids how to read and do those kinds of things are pretty amazing. So, no, it's good for me. I do the same. I do a school visit at least a week, one every week or more. And shoot my weekly message out of a school, but and then spend about an hour and a half with the principal, kind of going in classrooms and doing that. So again, that's why we do it. We understand the school system is not me and is not our district office. It's the classrooms and the schools. That's what all of our parents and students know as their school experience, and so we don't want to forget about that.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to the academies, as more schools adopt them, because I think more schools did it this year. How do you see the impact across the county as more schools in Knox County adopt it?
Yeah, it's been fun to watch because, we had some principals on that initial scout probably, 4 years ago now, and going to places like Nashville or Akron, Ohio to kind of see that. I think what we saw, the big kind of missing link there, we have this huge active business association of people and the community is very active, but there was kind of a little bit of a disconnect about getting them into schools. There might be things like breakfast or lunches or something like that, but to really talk about how do we change student experiences. And I think that really started with us as a school system and as our principals of the high schools going, our job is to prepare our students to be the next workforce. I mean, that's what you guys are going to be, right? And how are we doing that if we don't have business involved in kind of the everyday and the things? So again, you might occasionally have gotten a guest speaker or occasionally gotten an experience, but we wanted to make that intentional for every student in Knox County. So that's kind of what began that journey. And so we're seeing some schools that we did in kind of cohorts, 3 years of cohorts that roll out. That first cohort will move into juniors next year being in that. So what I've seen in that freshman academy is just this kind of, we've seen the data improve a lot for the students on pass-fail rates. We've seen better behaviors, that kind of just common rules and common, teachers owning and moving through that. To the sophomore year, freshman seminar was a big thing. Again, I don't know if you guys were part of that because you may have already been out, but it's a chance that every freshman takes it. It brings businesses in as guest speakers. There's a lot of youth science. There's a lot of aptitude testing. There's a lot of exposure to careers. We just want to make sure, again, if we're going to try to prepare every student to be ready for if they go to college, if they go to a job, if they join the military, that they know that's the career they want to choose. And without those exposures, you tend to just kind of know what your parents do or what maybe relatives or things you've been exposed to.
Right.
And so it's really trying to get that diverse group of exposure to careers so that you guys have a better idea when you leave here, kind of what you want to do.
I think that's really amazing too, because there's so many different careers, and a lot of times in high school, you just don't really know what you want to do or what you are able to do. So I think that's great to expose I didn't get to do it, but the freshmen and the sophomores at Farragut here are in the academies, and I've heard really good things about it. So
That's great.
Yeah.
So your job is like a really big role, like throughout all the schools. So what's some things you've learned from being the superintendent?
You know, I would say it's been neat being in the system, you know, for a long time. I think it's you're 25, 26 for me. I always lose it. But, and so, I mean, I started in Knox County. I mean, I was an intern at Bearden High School teaching biology and ecology and loved it, fell in love with it there. Had a great group of teachers that really came around me and gave me a chance to do a lot of neat things. Love that. I've kind of loved every level that's been in. So, you know, I've been a teacher, I've been a principal, I've been assistant principal. Even our district office, I've held different roles. So I think, you know, the main thing I think I know is what I've always known is that there is something unique about Knox County and Knox County schools. Our teachers really care. Like, our people are really part of the community. Our students can do amazing things. Like, I'm amazed all the time at what, you know, what you guys are capable of. And none of that's changed. I think it just gets confirmed every year. What a special place this is. I'm love to see the business community now really embracing the schools. And you know, they're very willing to open up and do those things. So Knoxville's a special place because we have, you know, that mix of rural, urban, and suburban. But it's still small enough where you can do everything. You've got a huge university. You've got Oak Ridge. I mean, you've got all these kinds of things that are here. It's a beautiful place, just weather-wise and climate and those kinds of things. And the people are just good people. And I think, you know, that's why I was blessed to have the opportunity to lead it. This, and you know, very thankful that we get to every day and just to accelerate and recognize the work that's being done at all the schools.
Wow. Well, this was such a great time interviewing you, and we're so glad to have had you on the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. And that's all that we have for our episode today, so make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on our socials. Bye, y'all.
Bye.